Are you ever worried about like getting jumped for the content that you do? Because like you've said the N-word multiple times and like your whole face is out there like saying the N-word with the hard R. Are you worried that people are going to come up to you and like threaten you?
Black people are violent, so it is a risk for sure.
Don't you think it's fair that they're violent though if you're like saying the N-word like with your chest out on the internet?
No. You have no right to be violent over some words. Fuck you.
All right, that was Hayden McDougal, better known as Women Propaganda Online. This guy is sitting down with Tyson Hockley, and he's basically doing an interview about who he is, what he's all about, everything like that, all the particulars. And throughout the course of this interview, he's basically asked, you don't think it's fair that, you know, people are violent towards you because of words? And he says, absolutely not. You should never be violent toward people because of their words. Okay. You're allowed to think that. I personally don't believe that. I understand the sentiment, but that's just simply not true. And I'm going to show you exactly why that is not true.
You invited him to your fucking club. You gave him a ticket to the fucking club. Whoa.
Okay, let's get the fuck out of here.
Walk away. You know what I are? Yeah. You're real tough. Walk the fuck out. He's part of the IR though.
And then this other guy just slapped me across.
Oh, this is the younger generation that's going to overthrow Trump? Come on, guys. Really? But how can you let the penguin off the Batman an open hand smack you and then you walk away and then you come back and get a picture with the guy? Come on, man. Really? I'm just asking.
All right. Now, I don't know what was said between these two, but you saw Mr. McDougal got smacked. He got pimp smacked. And I don't know exactly what caused it, but if you look at the beginning of that video, they're already outside. These people are already outside, and the penguin already has his jacket off. So words have been exchanged, and now it's time to throw down. And oddly enough, if you look at Mr. McDougal's his mustache, he has this kind of old-timey Western mustache, just like our guy Chud the Builder. They have these. They like the old-time Western mustache. You know, they really want to embody that 12 steps and draw kind of motif. I won't say necessarily the mentality. They clearly don't have the mentality because they don't want the violence, but they want to look good. Now, this guy already has his jacket off, so words were exchanged, and now faces are getting smacked. Why? Because of the words. Now, you notice that the fat guy, he smacked him, and he said something about him being a tough guy, like Hayden being a tough guy. He said, yeah, walk away, tough guy. So clearly words were exchanged that would insinuate Hayden was being tough or trying to be tough. And then the guy invited him outside like an old Western duel, and he smacked him, and the guy walked away. And he didn't have that same smoke. So these people who are saying violence should not happen because of words, these guys don't understand how real life works. And this is why I tell you guys, avoid these online movements. These people are absolute clowns. They want to sit here and they want to have a revolution, and they want to say these people shouldn't be here and this shouldn't be going on. And they want to make people rise up, but you don't understand the cost of violence. I always say you got to count the cost before you go to war. You got to count the cost before you start that fight. You have to count the cost before you open your mouth and say something. Case in point, Charlie Kirk. I used him on the thumbnail. I don't think that Charlie Kirk should have died because of his words, but I understand why his words would have driven people to violence. Now, that doesn't mean that it's okay. I'm simply saying that I understand how people can go from calm and rational to ready to fight. Once again, like I said, America comes from the land of 12 steps and draw. You piss somebody off, you got to step outside and y'all got to settle it with blood. That just is what it is. Now, the reason I bring this up is actually for this next video.
And I would like you guys all to meet the villain you made, a woman who recently went viral on TikTok for driving 3 fucking hours to confront a hater in her comment section.
A black woman is under police investigation after driving 3 hours to confront a man who left a discriminatory comment online. Authorities say the woman located the commenter, identified as Mike, and went to his home to demand an in-person apology. According to the police report, the incident began when the woman saw an offensive message posted by a white man under her social media content. She later obtained Mike's home address through an unknown method. She then drove 3 hours to his residence, knocked on his door, and told him he must read a written apology she had prepared. Police say the woman threatened to send screenshots of his discriminatory comments to Mike's wife if he refused to cooperate. Shocked that she had found his personal information, Mike agreed to read the apology in front of her. After she left the property, Mike immediately contacted law enforcement.
So now, if you're anything like me, you're probably wondering,
Man, what did he do to make them niggas that mad?
well, I got the answer for you right here. Basically, this girl right here made a video talking about District 7 in Tennessee. Now, I don't know what she said in the original video, but basically, District 7 is a very white conservative political district in Tennessee, and she's a black girl talking about it. And I guess because of that, a bunch of people just left a bunch of nasty racist comments in her comment section, specifically a guy named Mike, okay? Now, Mike, I guess, commented something so racist and so heinous that this chick just turned into the fucking Riddler, because not only did she track him down and confront him and make him apologize to her,
A couple days ago, you left a comment under somebody's comment section. Do you remember that by any chance?
but she also found his secret gay dating app account and blackmailed him into saying that she's gonna tell his wife.
I'm gonna give you the opportunity and apologize, or I'm gonna show your wife the ground account I found.
All right, so there we have it. This guy, Mike, he lives in District 7, or she lives in District 7. I'm not really sure. I think she lives in District 7 of Tennessee, and Mike left a pretty crazy comment, or a comment on her post, and she decided that that was worth her driving 3 hours. Now, it's very important that we note District 7 of Tennessee is where Clarksville is located, and Clarksville is where Chud the Builder lives. Surprise, surprise. See, this is what we're talking about. You never know who you are dealing with. Now, I actually did some digging, and the comment that this woman made was not all that, it wasn't all that grand. She just said something, I think she was talking about like reparations or something like that, or something along the lines of reparations. And the guy, Mike, made a comment about how, blacks have had welfare for like 40, 50 years. They've had Section 8 and, affirmative action and all this and all that. They should be satisfied. Like, stop complaining. When is enough for you people? Like, as a black man, I'll tell you like this. I don't believe that anything he said was necessarily racist. I don't think it was worth anything more than maybe a comment back. But like, was it worth her getting in her car? Absolutely not. His comment was not at all incendiary or racist in any form or fashion. I will give him that. However, this woman, she didn't take it that way. She took it to almost the full out extent. She finds out who this guy is some way, somehow. She hops in her car. She drives 3 hours. She has a written apology that she typed up, and somehow she typed it up, printed it out, and wanted him to read it out. And he did all of that. And she found out that he had a secret gay Grindr account. Bro, just completely crazy, absolutely nuts. But this is what happens. A lot of times you don't know the fight that you're starting when you open your mouth. I've said it before on this channel. You have to count the cost before you go to war. Now, Mike was not necessarily going to war. He's just commenting on this woman's post. She's the one who's going to war. I don't know if she counted the cost, because she could end up just like our guy Chud the Builder, getting arrested for harassment and stalking and whatnot. She has made all of her social media private. She's taken down a lot of stuff. I do think she is in some sort of legal trouble. So in this case, this guy said some stuff. It triggered this woman. She did her best, 12 steps and draw. She said, hey, I'm going to pull up on you. I'm going to check your temperature. And now the cops are checking her temperature because she got triggered by words. So you see how it can go either way. This is like game 6. It could go either way. You could get smacked. You could say something and a guy takes his jacket off, say, let's go outside, and you get smacked. Or you could decide, I'm going to be the one to cross the line. And now all of a sudden you got the cops on your back. It goes either way. And this is where we get back to our Chud the Builder friend, who, he's going through the same thing that this black woman is about to go through, because you want to run down on people and you want to say crazy stuff and you want to start all these issues. You guys have to understand, words are not free. It doesn't matter how that makes you feel. Case in point, I was in the Navy for 10 years. I was maybe a month from getting out, and I said some crazy stuff online back in 2016 where I was basically threatening the police. And some black guy had gotten killed, and I was, in my black identity extremist phase. That's what they used to call us back then. That's what the FBI called us. That was a real FBI term. And basically, I was going back and forth with some people online, and I was like, yeah, black people need to just start targeting random cops the same way the cops target random black people. And not even 48 hours later, I had NCIS show up at the ship that I was on, and they was like, hey, we need to see you in our office. And it was a whole thing, and I had to back down and be like, hey, I was just joking. I didn't know it was that serious. I didn't know you guys were policing the interwebs like this. But my words resulted in them showing up and doing a temperature check because they want to make sure that my words aren't going to lead to an action. And keep in mind, if law enforcement is showing up, they're showing up to do violence. They're either going to do social violence by ruining you online. They're going to do political or financial or career violence by messing up your career and telling everybody on your ship what you did, telling your captain, everything like that. Or, you know, if you act too crazy, they might just beat you down and haul you out of there. Not saying that they would just, you know, storm the ship and just beat me up and haul me out. But the cops always have the option to use violence at the end of the day. When the cops get involved, violence is always on the table. So you have to understand, these people want to make sure that I'm not going to resort to violence because of my words. And because of my words, people who have the authority to invoke violence are now in my face. Violence is always on the table when you're talking to people and you're getting into it and you're exchanging words and there's a disagreement. I'm not saying that, you know, a person like Charlie Kirk should die because of what he said. I'm not saying Chud the Builder should die because of what he said. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is, let's be very realistic. One, just like you saw this black lady fly off the handle and do a 3-hour road trip, a 6-hour road trip round trip, just like you saw that, you never know who you're dealing with. You never know who you're dealing with. Just like I posted that crazy stuff online, you never know who's going to be on the other end of that. Words aren't free. The police can pop up on you at any point in time. Just like this guy got smacked outside that club. Words aren't free. You never know who's going to have enough of what you're talking about. If you go outside and there's a neighbor that you don't like and you call his daughter, let's say his daughter is 14 or 15, and you just want to be edgy and you call his daughter a whore because of how she's dressed and you already don't like this guy. And maybe you even have problems with the daughter. Maybe she's loud and obnoxious or this or that. Do you think this guy's not going to want to fight you? You call his 14, 15-year-old daughter a whore? What about like his wife? You don't like his wife. You got into it with his wife. You call his wife a whore. You call his wife out of her name. Do you think he's not going to want to fight you? If you disrespect somebody's woman, do you think there's not going to be a fight that comes behind that? But you'll sit up here and say, words shouldn't lead to violence. We all know that that's not the case. We all know that that is not the case. If you disrespect people, there's always the threat of violence. Now, I know what you guys are going to say. A lot of you guys are going to get in the comments and say, well, in reasonable discourse, there should not be violence just because you don't like what someone says. And what I'm going to tell you is I agree, but that's not how things work. Charlie Kirk is dead because a very unreasonable person decided they didn't like what Charlie was saying. Chud the Builder, he's going through it because he lives in District 7 and he got people like that black woman who live in District 7. All of a sudden, I kind of got a little bit of empathy for him because it's like, dang, you got that kind of person living in the same city or same county as you. I see why you're so upset. I can 100% see if the black people are all acting like this woman who are willing to crash out over literally nothing. I get why he's on his crusade. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to come without consequence. Words have consequence, and you are oftentimes dealing with unreasonable people. So like I said before, count the cost before you go to war. And as much as possible, just watch your mouth because it's normally not that serious where you need to say something this way or that. Make good decisions.